If you clicked on this video, you probably want to know which booktok books are worth the hype and which ones you should definitely be spending your hard-earned time and money into. But you're probably also curious which ones are not really worth the hype and which ones you should probably just skip. In this video, I'm going to go over all of the booktok books that I've read over the years because there have been a lot of recommendations on that platform, and the ones that I've put on this list are at least the titles that I still remember liking or disliking, or I still remember my opinion on it. Also, please take everything that I'm going to say in this video with a grain of salt. If you ended up loving a book from booktok that I don't really vibe with, that's completely fine. Everyone has a different opinion. If we all liked the same things, life would be pretty boring and it would be really difficult to get concert tickets. This is all for shits and giggles, and yeah, let's get into the video. So as you can tell, I've divided the tier ranking into 5 different tiers, and the first one is I would sell my soul to be able to read this again for the first time. These are the books that I just adore. They're the best of the best. I would genuinely take my eyeballs out of my eye sockets, cleanse them, and put them back in order to be able to read these again for the first time, but sadly enough, I cannot do that. So yeah, I highly recommend these. The second category is Chef's Kiss. These are books that I really love, really adore. They're just not my favorite books. Like, they're a 4.5 star book for me. But yeah, I love these to bits, would highly recommend them. Third category is Pass the Vibe Check. These are books that I think are good. They're definitely something that I would recommend to people. Did they personally leave a big impact on me? Not really, but they're good books. Like, I would recommend them. Then the fourth category is Meh. Meh are typically books that I get why people like them. I just don't really remember much of them. Thought they were kind of mid. Would not really consider them like a viral book. Like, they were okay, you know? Meh. Mid. And lastly, category 5 is Brain Rot. These are books that just, you know, kill off brain cells. They're not good. I would not recommend them. I don't get why they're viral. Sometimes these might also be books that I don't like per se, but are hilarious to read. Like, there are certain trashy books that are just really bad but make very entertaining reads, if that makes sense. I have, I think, about like 28 books to go through, so let's get started. Okay, the first book we're going to be ranking is Before the Coffee Gets Cold. This is probably like one of the first Japanese books that really popped off on the booktok platform, and for me personally, this is a chef's kiss. I really like this book. It's also one of the reasons that I started to get into Asian and Japanese books a bit more, is because of this book in particular. The only reason why I wouldn't put it in the top tier is because this is a series, and in my opinion, the quality of the series kind of declines after the second book. Definitely would recommend it if you're looking for a short book, and it's a great introduction into Japanese lit, and just, you know, it's chef's kiss. My Dark Vanessa would sell my soul. Would sell my soul. My Dark Vanessa is quite dark, as the title suggests. It's basically Lolita, but told from the perspective of the girl. So like, it has the same concept of an adult teacher taking advantage of a child, but in this case it is told from the woman's perspective later on in life, when she's kind of being confronted with the fact that this man has committed a crime again, or is being accused of committing a similar crime that he did to her, and she starts to kind of question this very disturbed wrong relationship that she had in her past, coming to terms with the fact that she was actually abused. Have to be in a good headspace to read this, but would sell my soul to reread this. Would sell my soul. The infamous A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. This is probably the most viral booktok series. Where I'm gonna put this, I'm gonna get killed depending on where I put this. I'm gonna put it in Pass the Vibe Check. It passes the vibe check for me because I don't necessarily hate this book. I don't necessarily mind this series. I enjoy it quite a lot. I've read all of the books up until now. Quite entertaining. Do I think it's the best series ever written? No, but it is a fun series if you want to get into young adult romantic-y books. Gonna leave it at that. Risky follow-up, Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Brain rot. If you've watched my video, you probably know why I put this in this category, but I don't like Fourth Wing. It was very predictable. The sexy dragons I just could not bear. There's a line that was crossed and I just cannot get over that one. So brain rot it is. Next up, there's Powerless. The fact that this engine put these two next to each other is fucking hilarious, because this is also a brain rot for me. Again, if you've watched my previous video, did not really like Powerless. In my opinion, it was just a very cheap ripoff off of the Red Queen and the Hunger Games, having the most powerful people in the kingdom, like the elites, battle each other to death as a sort of competition. Why would you do that? It's not productive. You're just killing off the best fighters within your kingdom. Like, it makes absolutely no sense. So yeah, it's going into brain rot for me. Red, white, and royal blue. Ooh. I'm gonna put this in the pass, the vibe check. This is a contemporary romance dealing with the first son, is that we call it, of President of the United States and the Crown Prince of the United Kingdom. It's very cute, very endearing. Would this in any shape or form actually be realistic in real life? No, but it's quite a lot of fun. The characters are really cute. Yeah, it's just a solid romance. Beach read. Ooh, this is a tough one. I'm gonna put it in chef's kiss. I really liked Beach Read. I love a lot of Emily Henry's books. I personally wouldn't even call Emily Henry a romance writer. I think she's more of a contemporary author, a contemporary writer. A lot of the backstories and storylines that she explores throughout her romances, or like in books like Beach Read, are a lot more fleshed out than a regular romance book. Like, the characters have very real struggles. The story is more than just the romance, and that's why I appreciate Emily Henry's books quite a lot. I'm glad my mom died would sell my soul. This is probably one of the few nonfiction books that I have read over the past few years. I don't really read a lot of nonfiction just because I get to read a lot of nonfiction at work because I am a nonfiction publisher. But I'm glad my mom died is such a good memoir. It is about Jeanette McCurdy, who worked as a child actor for Nickelodeon. Very gut-wrenching book, masterfully told, and just so good. If you're looking for a very good memoir, a very good biography, I would highly recommend I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. The Fine Print. Whew. You know, I have 2 ratings for this book. If I were to rate this purely on quality, it is brain rot. Definitely brain rot. But if I were to rate this on like a entertainment level, probably would sell my soul. This is one of those books that is so bad, like so bad that it becomes incredibly funny. But I'm gonna just do it purely quality and put it in brain rot. If you don't know what The Fine Print is about, this is essentially like Your Name Walt Disney fanfiction, and in this book the love interest ends up dating the owner of an amusement park, but like Walt Disney essentially. It's like a billionaire romance, but it's so funny once you like just commit to how awful it is. Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, no doubt in my mind, would sell my soul to read this again for the first time. Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is probably the most viral BookTok book, like standalone BookTok book ever, but in my opinion, 100% worth the hype. I love the fact that we're following like an actress throughout her career, from like being young and impressionable up until basically her retirement. Absolutely stunning book. Highly recommend, but I'm sure I don't have to tell you what the plot of this one is. Normal People by Sally Rooney. Ooh. Where am I gonna put you? It's been a while since I've read this book. I appreciate Sally Rooney for like the topics that she puts forth, because they're very like sad girl in her 20s vibes. But if it comes to like leaving an impression, I'm gonna have to put it into meh. Just because I don't remember what happens in this book. I know it's about like a couple that is like, one is lower class and one is upper class, and they grow apart and they grow back together, and it's just like a lot of miscommunication. But that is also like the majority of Sally Rooney's books, and they don't really leave an like a memorable impression. I mean it's, do I put in past the vibe? I'm gonna maybe rearrange this one, but I think I'm gonna put it in Meh, just because I don't remember much of that book. And then we have A Little Life. Where am I gonna put you? Honestly, I'm gonna put you in brain rot. Do I think that A Little Life is the same quality as Fourth Wing, Powerless, and The Fine Print? Absolutely not. It is beautifully written. But do I think it is a good book to read? Absolutely not. A Little Life is essentially like trauma porn. Like, the author tried to put as many traumatic, horrible experiences into this book. Like, the characters in this book experience the most awful things you can experience in a human life. I don't recommend anyone reading this. I read this book when I was in a really good headspace, and it destroyed me. It wrecked me. So I can only imagine how much of an impact this book has if you're actually dealing with mental health issues at the time of reading it. So do not recommend reading that one unless you want to mentally scar yourself. Go for it. A Song of Achilles would sell my soul. I love A Song of Achilles. It is top tier in my opinion. I love Greek mythology retellings. I love the trend that is going on at the moment. I'm eating that shit up. So I think this book is probably the book that started the popularity in the genre. If you do not know what the Song of Achilles is about, this is about Achilles during the Trojan War and basically how he became the hero that he is, and more specifically his romantic relationship with Patroclus. Stunning, beautiful, could not ask for anything better than A Song of Achilles. Like, you should have read this one by now. House on the Cerulean Sea. Is it Chef's Kiss or Would Sell My Soul? Ooh, Would Sell My Soul. I love TJ Klune's books, especially the audiobook adaptations. I don't remember the name of the voice actor, but I'll pop it in here somewhere. He has such a vivid and bright voice that is able to carry all of the characters so well. Like, he gives them their own personality, their own little quirks. This is all due to the fact that TJ Klune's characters are so bright and so diverse, unique in our own way. Definitely Would Sell My Soul. Any book by TJ Klune is great, but yeah, highly recommend. It ends with us, brain rot. If you know me from my bookstagram, you know that I don't like Colleen Hoover. When I first read this book, I wasn't completely put off by it, but the thing that just I don't get is that all of her books are marketed as romance books when none of them are romances. Like, all of them deal with like either abusive or awful relationships that are no examples of like romantic relationships, of loving relationships. It Ends With Us is about domestic abuse. She wrote a book where there's like a teacher child relationship. So like, no. We're not doing that. If you're gonna write books about abusive relationships, don't call them romances. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I'm gonna put in meh, just because I don't mind the series. I thought it was fun when I read I read the first book of this one. I don't mind the book. I just don't remember what happens in it, and that's typically not like a good sign. If I don't remember it, it's kind of forgettable, and I won't be revisiting it in any way. So next up, Legends and Lattes, Chef's Kiss, just because I really love this book, don't get me wrong. I love Legends and Lattes. I just put it in Chef's Kiss because Bookshops and Bone Dust is probably in the top tier. I liked the second book better than the first one, but this is a lovely cozy fantasy. If you want to get into fantasy and are a bit like hesitant or overwhelmed by the genre, I highly recommend Legends and Lattes. It's considered a cozy fantasy. The stakes aren't as high. It's, like I said, very cozy, down to earth. You will be able to get the storyline. The world building is very minimal, great nonetheless. So yeah, Chef's Kiss. Next up, Six of Crows. Ooh, I love Six of Crows. It's probably like one of my favorite fantasy series, aside from like the V. Schwab series, like Fishes and stuff like that. But do I put it in Would Sell My Soul or Chef's Kiss? I think I'm gonna put it in Chef's Kiss. I really like the series, but there are series that I like more. It is worth the hype. It is a very good fantasy series. I love it so much because it's not predictable. It's a very original fantasy story. Yeah, highly recommend. The Cruel Prince. Ooh, pass the vibe check. I really liked The Cruel Prince as a series. It's not my favorite fantasy series, but I get the hype, and it is definitely like worth reading if you're into like fae stories. This is also one of the few fae stories where they're like actually mean and not like hot. Don't get it twisted, like they're still described as beautiful, but they're cunning and they're like the actual folklore fae, mean and vindictive and are not able to lie. The main character, like the main love interest in this one, has like a tail. They're not like the stereotypical face. If that is something you like, you might want to check out The Cruel Prince. They both died at the end. Funny story, actually. I read this book when it came out, which is like, I want to say like over 10 years ago, because this is not a new book. This is quite an old book. It was like around when I was in the target demographic for this, and I'm like 31. Back in the day, I loved this one. I thought it was such a cool concept, but looking back on it, it's kind of meh. The concept of this book is that on the day that you die, you receive a phone call from, I don't know, the government. This is all very vague too, basically telling you like, hey, within the next 24 hours, you're going to die. The people in this world are able to like either say goodbye to their relatives, or they can like join a certain chat group where they can match with other people who have their death day that day and kind of like find solace that way. And in this storyline, the main characters meet each other because they both know that they're going to die that day. Like, they meet through the chat service. Looking back on it, it's kind of like wasted potential. Like, I just want to know how this society works. Like, how do they know that they're going to die? How does this how does it work, you know? I think the author could have explored a better storyline with the concept, if you get what I mean. Like, there's a lot of wasted potential, so that is why it's in meh. Next up, Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, which is going straight into Would Sell My Soul. It's probably one of the best books that I read last year. Lovely, stunning, could not describe it in any other way than just, you gotta read this. This book is essentially about relationships, and more particularly about friendship and how that kind of evolves and goes up and down throughout someone's lifetime, but also the love for video games. All I can say about this book is please just read it, come back to me, and then we can both talk about how beautiful and stunning this book is. Next up, there's Heartstopper, which I'm going to put in Chef's Kiss. It's not my all-time favorite series, but I do really enjoy Heartstopper. It's one of those series that whenever I'm not feeling the best, or I need like a pick-me-up, something that I know I'm going to enjoy and is going to bring a smile to my face, I will pick up a Heartstopper volume because it's just so cute, it's so wholesome, and it always manages to cheer me up. So yeah, Heartstopper does deserve Chef's Kiss. Yellowface Would Sell My Soul. I loved Yellowface, especially if you're like working in publishing. This is such a funny book to read, and also kind of disturbing at the same time. Like, it deals with a lot of very relevant topics regarding the publishing industry and diversity. Don't have much to say about this other than just read it. It's a hating game. Ooh, I think I'm gonna make some people angry and say it's in meh. This is one of those books, again, that blew up so much on booktok. Like, I've read this one a while ago. Do you think I remember anything that happens in this book? No. I know it's about like two publishing houses that eventually merge, and the two characters in this book are competing for the same position within the company. So like, it's rivals to lovers, fun, yada yada yada, but I don't remember anything that happens in this book. The only thing I remember is that the main character paints his walls the same color of the girl's eyes, and that was supposed to be romantic, which in my opinion is kind of disturbing. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I don't know what romance is, but I just thought that was a very weird move. So yeah, I'm putting it in meh, just because if I don't remember the plot, it's probably not that good. Oh, The Secret History by Donna Tartt. This is every like dark academia girlie's favorite book. I read it, I think, at the top of 2022, I want to say, and I did not like it. I even dare to say it is, no, I'm not going to put it in between these books, although like A Little Life quality wise is better than the other ones, but like, it's a meh book for me. It's like a murder mystery essentially, and I don't like murder mysteries. I have learned about myself. I know this is the point, but all of the characters in this book are so stuck up. They all think that they're better than everyone else because they're able to speak Latin to each other, which is a dead language. It's not really that useful. It deals a lot with like the elitist academic world, so like I get the concept. It just annoyed me so much, so I'm putting it in meh because I did not enjoy reading it, and that is, at the end of the day, what matters. So if you like elitist academic assholes, I'm sure you'll love this, but it was not for me. Then we have The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. If you know me, you know I love V. Schwab. I love all of the books that she's written, and I would sell my soul to be able to read this one again for the first time. It deals with a girl selling her soul to the devil, and I love me a book about like a Faustian deal. So the language is beautiful, gorgeous writing, and I just really love the concept of a Faustian deal. So How to Kill Your Family. I know this is a very popular one, but I just found it a bit meh. I don't remember much of this book. So once again, don't think that is a good indicator on my enjoyment levels. It's a cute book, but I don't think I will be rereading it again, and I don't really think I would recommend it to anyone, but yeah. Okay, so this is the final ranking. Are there any books that I might want to switch around? You know, I'm gonna put Sally Rooney into Pass the Vibe Check because I like the book. I just don't remember much of it, but that is, I kind of just typical for Sally Rooney's books, or just the topics that she explores. But it was like, it's a good book, so it passes the vibe check. I think it's safe to say like the first 3 tiers are the books that I would definitely recommend to people. If they ask me like, hey, is this a good book? Absolutely. The bottom 2 are books that I don't really care about, or I would just avoid altogether. I hope this helped in any sort of way. If you like this video and you want to see more, please stick around and subscribe. And thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you later. Bye!